In the bustling city of Riverdale, there lived a young woman named Amara. She carried herself with warmth and confidence, though her body didn't match the narrow standards often celebrated in magazines. This never dimmed her spirit. Amara was cherished by those around her for her generous heart, quick humor, and infectious positivity. Music was Amara's sanctuary. Each dawn, her voice would float through the open window of her apartment, weaving melodies that seemed to make the morning birds pause and listen. Her voice had a quality that was hard to describe, rich like honey, yet clear as a mountain stream. Despite this extraordinary gift, Amara kept her talent hidden from the world. The idea of standing before strangers, vulnerable to their judgment about her appearance rather than her artistry, felt like too great a risk. Everything changed when Riverdale announced its annual talent showcase. The grand prize was an opportunity to perform at the historic Meridian Concert Hall, a venue where legends had graced the stage. Amara's loved ones immediately began encouraging her to audition, but fear gripped her heart. "What if they see me before they hear me?" she confided to her closest friend Elena over coffee one afternoon. Elena, who had known Amara since childhood, set down her cup and leaned forward. "Listen to me carefully. Your voice doesn't just make sounds, it tells stories, it heals wounds, it changes rooms. That's rare, Amara. Don't let imaginary critics rob the world of something beautiful." Those words planted a seed. After days of internal struggle, Amara submitted her audition application, her finger hovering over the send button for a full minute before she finally clicked it. The morning of her audition arrived wrapped in nervousness. The theater's waiting area buzzed with performers, each seeming impossibly prepared and picture-perfect. Amara's stomach churned. She almost turned around and walked out. Then she thought of Elena's words. She thought of the joy that singing brought her, the way music had been her constant companion through every chapter of her life. She thought of the little girl she once was, singing fearlessly into a hairbrush microphone. When her name echoed through the corridor, Amara rose and walked toward the stage door. The stage lights hit her like a wave. For a moment, she could barely see the panel of judges in the darkened auditorium. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears. The microphone felt cold in her shaking hands. She closed her eyes and found her center, that quiet place inside where only the music lived. The first note emerged softly, almost fragile, but then something shifted. Amara stopped singing for the judges and started singing for herself, for Elena, for every person who'd ever felt invisible. Her voice swelled and soared, carrying emotion that words alone could never express. The song she chose spoke of resilience, of finding light in dark places, of the journey from doubt to self-acceptance. Every phrase was infused with her own truth. When the final note faded into silence, Amara opened her eyes. The quiet lasted only a heartbeat. Then the auditorium exploded with applause. The judges were on their feet. Strangers were wiping their eyes. One of the judges, a renowned vocal coach, was visibly moved, pressing a hand to her heart. The head judge spoke into his microphone, his voice thick with emotion. "In 30 years of doing this, I've rarely heard anything so honest, so powerful. You didn't just sing that song, you lived it on that stage." Amara was unanimously advanced to the finals. The following weeks became a whirlwind. Each performance revealed more of Amara's depth as an artist. She sang jazz, soul, classical pieces, and contemporary ballads, each one delivered with growing confidence. More importantly, she began to genuinely enjoy the experience rather than endure it. Elena attended every performance, always in the front row, always the first to stand and cheer. The night of the finals arrived. The theater was packed to capacity. Amara had drawn the closing position, the most pressure-filled spot in any competition. As she waited backstage, she reflected on the journey. Weeks ago, she'd been terrified of being seen. Now she understood that being truly seen meant sharing your authentic self, and that vulnerability was not weakness. It was the greatest strength an artist could possess. Her final song was one she'd written herself during the competition, a piece about transformation, about learning that you were never the problem, that the world's narrow definitions were what needed changing. As Amara sang her truth, something magical happened. The performance transcended competition. People in the audience began to cry, not from sadness, but from recognition. They saw themselves in her journey. Her courage gave them permission to embrace their own. When she finished, The applause seemed to shake the very foundations of the building. The judge's decision was swift and unanimous, but as Amara accepted the winner's trophy, she realized the prize had become secondary. The real victory was the woman she'd become in the process, someone who'd learned to take up space unapologetically, to let her light shine without dimming it to make others comfortable. Her debut performance at the Meridian Concert Hall sold out in minutes. That evening, as Amara stood on that legendary stage, she looked out at the sea of faces and felt only gratitude. Not just for the opportunity, but for the journey that had brought her there. Amara went on to build a remarkable career, but she never forgot where she started. She began visiting schools and community centers, sharing her story, and encouraging young people to pursue their passions regardless of how they looked, where they came from, or what obstacles stood in their way. Years later, when asked about the secret to her success, Amara's answer was always the same. The moment I stopped waiting for permission to be myself was the moment everything changed. Your gift isn't about being perfect, it's about being real. And being real is always enough. Her voice had become more than beautiful sound. It had become a bridge between doubt and possibility, proof that authenticity will always resonate louder than conformity. And in Riverdale, whenever someone needed courage to pursue their dreams despite their fears, they would remember Amara's story and think, if she could do it, maybe I can too. The end.